So today, like I mentioned before, we're getting into part 2 of this whole Claressa Shields situation, especially her going live with Lemie and Natalie Nunn and the rest of the crew. I'm not even going to run the entire live, just a few clips, because the overall vibe feels like everyone suddenly switched up and started acting polite, and you won't believe how obvious it looks. To me, it feels like that rumored reality show, documentary, or whatever project they've got in the works has people trying real hard to protect a so-called working relationship. But honestly, from where I'm standing, this already feels like it's heading toward a full-blown mess. What really stands out is Claressa saying she's above the baddies drama, yet the lead-up to her fight with Franchine Cruz Dezern had nothing but chaotic energy written all over it. We literally saw Franchine get shoved while wearing heels, roll her ankle, deal with a swollen knee, and even risk worse injuries when that sign came crashing down on her. That's not above the drama behavior, that's the exact kind of energy she claims she doesn't move in. And when Claressa admitted she felt stuck between a rock and a hard place, that told me she probably didn't even want to continue under those conditions. But walking away would have meant walking away from a paycheck too. Now let's not forget what we already covered in the last 2 videos. Before anything truly popped off, before Claressa even stepped into her boxing gear for the Franchine Cruz fight, she had that run-in with Lemie. I really don't understand why there's any attempt to backtrack or rewrite the story now, because the cameras caught everything. We saw it clearly in 4K, and we heard Lemmie's mic plain as day, since production for the Baddies project was rolling at the same time Claressa's team was filming. Cameras were everywhere. Reality TV doesn't miss a moment. And Claressa made it very clear to Lemie that Summer was her personal guest. The fact she even had to say that says a lot. It felt less like a friendly reminder and more like, listen, I know the baddies are in the building, but nothing better happen to my guest. And when you have to say that out loud before a fight even starts, that already tells you the atmosphere wasn't calm, it was tense. You didn't want any kind of setup. You definitely didn't want a repeat of the Summer and Lexi situation popping off again. You weren't trying to have anything instigated on the same night as your fight. That's really what that whole conversation was about. Because if you watch reality TV long enough, you already know how this goes. The baddies pull up to your event, to your fight, and instead of the focus being on your performance, the headlines turn into Lex versus Summer round 2, or 3, or 4. And all of that drama would have completely overshadowed what was supposed to happen in the ring with Franchine. Now, fast forward. Claressa Shields jumps on live like I mentioned in my previous upload. But instead of addressing the full situation, she seems more upset with Biggie for speaking up and defending Lemie than with her own long history of threatening to fight people and calling folks out. Let's be honest, that pattern has been there for years. We've seen her talk about pulling up on people, and we've even seen her look up critics just because they said something she didn't like. And that's a conversation we're going to unpack in another video. But having an opinion about a public situation isn't slander. It's not defamation. You can disagree with what someone says, sure, but if nobody's calling you out your name or spreading lies, then what exactly are we doing here? Meanwhile, Lemie had already posted a video trying to clear his name, saying everything between Claressa and Papoose was solid and there was no funny business. Yet somehow, the commentary just keeps growing, and honestly, it feels unnecessary. It's like this situation is being stretched way further than it ever needed to go, especially if at the end of the day, everybody plans on working together anyway. Let's not forget, Zeus Network is basically the home base for baddies, and every spinoff follows that same blueprint. It doesn't matter if it's a cabaret-style show or something marketed as family reality TV. Somebody ends up fighting on Zeus. That's just a pattern. So now, let's get into Natalie Nunn subtly calling out Lemie for trying to be in the mix and stirring the pot. Because this part right here, it says a lot.
I think Lemie honestly was just letting it be known because sometimes everybody isn't like in tune and keeping up with what's happening in real time on the shows. So personally, I know he's messy, and
I'm not messy.
But he was not being messy.
I am not.
You're messy. Straight up. You are messy, Lemie, and I don't understand why you keep trying to play innocent like we don't see it. You're behind some of the most chaotic programming on the Zeus network, where people are literally losing control, fighting, swinging, and attacking each other for views. And somehow security only seems to jump in when it benefits certain cast members, depending on who you favor at the moment. That's not structure, that's selective energy. So now we're at this point where it feels like there's backtracking going on, with Lemie wanting Claressa Shields to reword what happened and say she didn't run up or step to him, just checked him. But I'm genuinely confused. Why are we trying to rewrite something we all watched in clear 4K? We saw the footage, we saw the body language. So what exactly are we cleaning up now?
I didn't check you. I just was like letting you know, like, listen.
Thank you. That's all I wanted everybody
I know
to
what
know.
you're saying, but
she
with me.
came up and just deboed me, like checked me, like, hey, nigga,
No.
she with me. Hey, she with me.
God,
She with me. I was like, hold on.
No.
I was like, hold on.
And then
I'm
listen,
here,
and then
look,
tell
listen, Can I say
Biggie.
this last piece? Can I say this last piece? I was there with you too. That's why I was confused. I'm like, we all
Yes.
here for you.
Yes, we all collaborated together. Yes.
Natalie here. She was here with you.
Right.
You know how I feel about you. I love
Yes.
you.
Yes, I know, and I thank y'all for that. But I was just saying that, and then Biggie like, oh, she's mad. I checked her boss. I didn't check your boss. I didn't say nothing to your boss. I didn't walk up to you like, yeah, she feeling like I walked up to you like, hey,
Claressa, stay out of the baddie universe, damn it.
they need to keep me out of it. I'm like, why is Biggie coming at me?
She said, hey, how'd I get involved? You stay out of the baddie universe.
Nah,
I'm out of it.
We all love you.
No, Claressa, you in the Zeus universe, and you got
No. She stay out of the baddie drama though.
No, I agree. Well, she's a boss.
Yes.
She's a boss. She's
a boss. So don't.
That's why she's saying. That's why she's saying it. But she also enjoys watching the show.
That's okay. That's fine.
So
That's
she knows
fine.
what's
That's
going on.
fine.
They know
And
Claressa.
we didn't mind who you had with. Listen, all the baddies. We don't listen, Claressa. We didn't mind. I think Lemie, honestly, was just letting it be known because sometimes everybody isn't like in tune and keeping up with what's happening in real time on the shows. So personally, I know he's messy, and
I'm not messy.
But he was not being
Claressa,
messy. He was not being messy.
Wow, see that? Now that they're gonna take that.
No.
Let's be real. That was a check, Claressa Shields. The way you lowered those sunglasses and stepped in, that wasn't random. That was you making it clear, no foolishness tonight, this event is about me, this fight is about me, and Summer's my personal guest. You weren't about to let it turn into some staged ambush for reality TV cameras. I actually understand that. But here's where it gets interesting. Now you're allegedly stepping into business with the same network whose entire formula revolves around chaos. The Zeus Network brand thrives on fights, confrontations, and that knuck-if-you-buck energy. And let's not act like you haven't, at times, invited that same energy, telling people to pull up to the ring, to weigh in, to press conference, to match. So when you suddenly say you're above baddies, but you're still on the same platform that promotes that behavior across every show, it feels a little contradictory. A dating show sparks fights. A cabaret show sparks fights. Baddies? That's the main event 24/7. So when Natalie Nunn says, don't get involved in baddies' mess, I can't help but raise an eyebrow. Because crossovers on networks are not some rare phenomenon. It happens all the time. Look at Bravo, where the Married to Medicine cast openly discusses the Real Housewives of Atlanta and vice versa. That's normal network synergy. And at Zeus, baddies is clearly the flagship. So the idea that there wouldn't be any overlap doesn't really add up, especially when Baddies cast members were invited to Claressa's fight and cameras were rolling everywhere. That means content was being captured, possibly for Baddies and for whatever project Claressa has in development. So all this backtracking and pretending like worlds aren't colliding, it feels performative. And honestly, if Claressa ends up unhappy with how she's portrayed in whatever they release together, this could get messy all over again.